Hello Internet, my name is Michael and I am on a mission to rescue, restore, rebuild and return to full working order this 100-year-old Wurlitzer 105 band organ and at the same time complete my 105 replica. Well, we've had some good news. We now have over 1,000 subscribers and 20,000 views, which I don't think is too bad for such a niche subject. Well, this week we're going to be fabricating the missing parts for the wind bellows that we tore down last week, and if you saw that, you know what a bad state it was in. So let's just get stuck in, shall we? Okay. Well, I purchased this timber from Lowe's, pre-dimensioned, and it's no good at all. They're different thicknesses, which means I'd have to plane it, which means I'd be well under the minimum ½ inch which I need. It's pretty bowed, and I guess I'm just going to have to learn a lesson and make sure that I go and get some that's oversized so I can plane it to the correct thickness. Bummer. What a waste of money. overnight. Now I'm ready to take these out of the clamps, take it into my workshop and plane them down to the proper thickness. Okay, I'm all set up and ready for planing. One thing about this DeWalt planer is the suction, the vacuum, the dust collection unit. It comes out the front here, right where the board comes out. And I've had to use a couple of cable ties to keep it out of the way, because otherwise it just dangles down in front of here. Not a terribly good design, but I'm sure I could find a right angle connector there if I tried hard. If anyone knows where I can find a right angle connector that a DeWalt planer would can use, please let me know in the comments. Right now I'm going to fire it up and start doing some planing. Well, that was easy. It's amazing how simple things are when you have the right tools. This is just a little over half an inch. It should be half an inch according to the plans, but I'm going to leave it a 30-second over. Just want a little bit more meat for the screws to go in when I put the reservoir frame on the top. It's not going to make much difference in the organ where it sits underneath the wind chest. Now it's very long. I left it long deliberately because I wanted to be able to cut off any snipe from the planing, and slightly wide. That's so I can take it down and trim them all to exactly the right width down at the wood shop. Okay, here are the drawings made by Bob Humes. They're absolutely wonderful, and you can easily see the wedge shape there with the 10-degree taper. That's going to be a challenge, but I'll give it my best. I popped down the wood shop and got the timber cut to size for the wedge. So I'm going to glue it up and make them into boxes, and then I'll go down there in the morning and slice them down at a 10-degree angle. You'll see what I mean. That's the first one glued up, and there's 4 in total, so I'll leave this to set up for a couple of hours, and I'll do another one and another one, and then I'll put the 2 together. It'll make sense, I promise. Well, this is the final glue up finished for this part. I now have these two pieces which I need to sand. These have to be really accurate. They're the wedge that goes between the upper and lower boards. They have to be really accurate because any small problem on this will multiply itself out towards the end of the boards. So I'm going to go down the wood shop and sand them, and then I have to cut them into wedges on the on a nice bandsaw down there. They have great tools down at the wood shop here in Green Valley. They've got 3 large saw stock table saws and other things. But that's where I'm going to go now. I'm going to go down there and cut a few other pieces and get this ready. So I'll see if I'm allowed to film down at the wood shop. So I had a successful morning at the wood shop, making the new punt boards. But when I came to slice the wedges, the bandsaw is big enough, and it's a beautiful, accurate bandsaw. But the fence is on the wrong side. It's behind the blade, which is normal. But I need it in front of the blade so that I can tilt it 10 degrees. But I can't move the fence on that particular model bandsaw, so I have to make my own fence. So what I've done is I've found this piece, it's nice and flat, and I found another piece there, and I will complete that with a nice support in there. That's what I'm going to do now. I've got to make my own fence. Let's go on with it. Well, that's my new fence glued up. Took a few more clamps than I was expecting, but I've got to make sure that it's completely square against the right-angled, I'm not sure what you call these. Whatever these are called, I have to make sure that the timber is completely square there and there, so that it will work as a fence, because it has to be exceedingly accurate to help pass these through the bandsaw. Alright, I'll let that dry up overnight and I'll finish it later and show you how I cut it on bandsaw tomorrow. Well, this jig has been setting up overnight, so I'll just take these off and we'll see if it's remained and it's all in square. I just put this block in there to make it a bit more rigid. That's looking good. Yeah, that is good. I'll take that down to the wood shop with the 2 wedge pieces. Now, there is a lot of holes that need drilling in the 2 top pump boards. There's quite a serious pattern. There's 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. The 96 holes need drilling. And the 9/16, so I had to go and get a nice reinforcement bit, nice sharp one that I can use for 9/16. Now, I can't put the boards on top of each other and drill them all at the same time because left and right, they're slightly different. So that's what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to start measuring up these boards. I tried taking these wedges for cutting on the bandsaw with that jig I made down to the wood shop, and I started cutting and it looked like it was going to go fine, and then it started wandering, the blade started wandering, and that wasn't going to be accurate enough, so I just backed out and decided I needed to find another solution for that because this has to be accurate. So those, all the work and effort I put into that, all wasted. So what I have done is I've cut a lot of individual wedges very accurately, which I'm going to glue together, and that will give me a solid wedge. And then I'm going to cut off pieces for this, and then this will be left, and I will just cut there, which will create one half the wedge, and one cut there to make the other half of the wedge, and glue it up again. That means it'll be the same wedge, but it'll be made of more pieces, a lot more work. That's been the story all along with this, so I'm gluing up some of these now. Well, if you've stuck with me this far, you'll agree, I think, that I've had some serious challenges. So much time wasted on making these, which was a waste of time in many ways, because I also had to go and make a special fence for the bandsaw, and that didn't work. But we eventually got them all finished, and I've got these wedges here. They're made up of many pieces, as you saw, but I don't think that will affect their strength, because apparently the glue is as strong as the timber these days. So I've got the upper board, the lower boards, all the pieces for the reservoir cut. So we're in a good shape for next week, when I will start reassembling the organ. So thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you next week. Okay, bye bye.